Well, good morning, everybody, and welcome back once again to Transwest Truck Trailer RV. My name's Mark Love. Today I am going to talk a little bit about a 2020 Kountry Star 4045 model. This particular unit has a stock number of 5N200198. For those of you that have been around the RV industry for a while, you probably recognize the name Kountry Star. Newmar made it some time back. They discontinued the line, and in 2020 when they brought it back, it basically replaced the Ventana LE, which is considered the first level of diesel on the Newmars. So we're going to show you this, and as I walk around today, not only am I going to point out the Newmar features, I want to talk about the Freightliner chassis that this is built on. So for starters, does have the three-way camera system. You have them on the side plus a rear camera. It's great when you're maneuvering into spot. You can hit that blinker and see how close you are to items. As we walk around, I want to point out a little bit a difference in this. This is a Freightliner 37,500 GVW chassis. A lot of your diesels, especially higher end, have what they call independent front suspension. This one does not. It's a solid axle that goes through. And a lot of times with your solid axles, you hit a bump and that transfers right up to your steering wheel and can make for a rough ride. Well, I love what Freightliner does here. Not only does this unit have the comfort drive, I'll talk about inside, but I want to show you a little bit down here. It has a bell crank assembly. So as you look down here, you can see the heavy-duty springs, and then that U-shaped piece with the bar going down is what they call their bell crank. Also, if you look back here a little ways, you can see the heavy-duty air shock there. What the bell crank is going to do, if you're driving down the road and this tire hits a pothole, it's not going to shake it. That bell crank's going to move and absorb that impact so it's not transferring it up to the steering wheel. Are you okay? Cherry's just stubbed her toe on a rose bush, I think. So, another thing I always like to point out right here, the fuel line is protected by a steel plate. And not a lot of other companies do that. And if you get a shot back here also, you see the shock there. That is a Sachs custom-tuned shock. And what I mean by that, Freightliner actually goes to Newmar, and for each individual model, they're going to custom tune that shock. So with the heavy-duty airbag, with the bell crank assembly, the Sachs shocks, it makes for a more stable, less bumpy ride as you're going down the road. So let's take a look at some of our compartments now, and I'll talk about the other features. Of course, your first compartment doesn't go all the way through, but there's still a lot of room and a very tall opening here. This is built on what they call the Xcr Chassis. It's a raised rail chassis, which gives you more clearance underneath. And one thing unique about this, a lot of the motorhomes we've shown you have slide-out trays. When you don't have that tray, look how much room you get in there. Passes all the way through, and it's just enormous. You can carry a lot of gear. This is a great spot to talk about the Star Foundation. I know you've heard this before. Maybe come in from this area. And this whole assembly here is part of the Star Foundation, which is tied to your frame rails. It goes down, it supports the walls out here, it supports your compartments, but most importantly, it's supporting these floor joists, and if you notice, they're up off the frame rail. So as you get those little bounces and tweaks when you're driving, it's not transferring that to the floor and to the cabinets and so forth inside. So the Star Foundation is one of the things unique to Newmar. They add it to the Freightliner chassis, and it's part of what really does make it a better ride. I've pointed out before, their slogan is when you know the difference, and when you do know how they build them and why they build them this way, it really does put Newmar above the rest of the units in this category or this price range. let's move down a little bit more. Again, the bags in here are your hoses and stuff for your central vac. You can bring it out here and clean out your compartment. You do have a hookup inside, and a lot of your slide out electronics and controls are right there. If you notice, there is lights at almost every entry door, and you have 110 plugs throughout. So if you want to bring out, you know, other electrical items, you have a place to plug them in. While we're right here, I will show you the 43-inch TV with the Bose 5 soundbar, Samsung 4K TV. Great entertainment center here. Some units have to put them down in the compartment. It depends on the floor plan. This one, well, it's able to put it up in the wall. This is your compartment where the TV would go if the floor plan didn't allow you to put it in the wall. Behind the pegboard is a water tank, so this compartment doesn't go all the way through. This is your egress door. It's an emergency exit in the bathroom, and I'll show you that inside. Another thing that's kind of unique to Newmar's. Every coach has to have an emergency window that you can bail out of in case of a fire. But look how high those windows are, and you're probably coming out head first. It's nice to have a door that you can come out. Back here you can see just another little compartment, again with its own individual light, and nicely lined and finished. They're not just the plastic or the rotocast finish. Part of that, not only does it help, you know, deaden the bumps and stuff, but it's also soundproofing. The floor of this compartment itself has an R value of 4, and then the subfloor and the whole floor setup has an R value of 16, and excuse me, that might be R19 on the floor and R16 on the roof.
What is an R value?
An R value is an insulation value. It is a number that tells you how well it holds heat or cold, so be the case. One thing about units with higher R values, not only are they cooler in the summer, warmer in the winter, but they're quieter because you have more in that wall to help deaden the sound. So the fact that the floor itself of the storage compartments are an R4 tell you it's just not a piece of plastic with felt on it. It actually has an R value to it. This is your battery compartment, your chassis batteries with the main cutoff right there. Let's move around here. Again, you can see it's the Xcr Chassis, 360 horse Cummins. And while we're here, I'll talk a little bit about the engine and so forth. Very easy to get in and check your fluids, top off your oil, your radiator fluid, check your vacuum gauge. Again, this is a 360 horse, it's a 6.7 liter Cummins. And one of the groups of people that this is built for, let's say, might be families that have been traveling in a Class C or a gas coach that want to step up to a diesel. If you're pulling a boat or a trailer with some toys in it, it's nice when you get in the hills to have the torque. I've compared this before to what you get with the V10 Ford, which is a common gas motorhome. The Ford actually has a little bit more horsepower. They used to be 362, but I believe when they changed to the 7-speed transmission, they're now about a 345 horse motor. This is only 340 horses, so actually a little bit less. But that gas motor only has 460 foot-pounds of torque, which is still good torque. You can pull 5,000 pounds, but the gas motor is designed to develop that torque at higher RPMs. If you've ever gone up Vail Pass or Eisenhower Tunnel pulling something with a gas motorhome or even a gas car, you'll notice how that engine seems to scream. It gets louder. You have to run it at higher RPMs to have the power to get them up the hill. With the diesel engine, and this is a 6.7 liter diesel engine, like I said, 360 foot-pounds of torque, but it's got, or 360 horsepower, but it's got 700 foot-pounds of torque. Torque is what's going to get you up the hill. And the diesel engine is designed to develop that torque at about 2,000 RPMs. So it's much quieter, number one, because the engine's in the back, but you're not running at nearly as high RPMs. Diesel engines just last so much longer. If you're pulling something all the time on a gas engine, when you get to 100,000 miles, that's a lot. You may need to replace that engine or do some serious work. Diesels are designed to pull the load, lower RPMs, better fuel mileage, and just a quieter ride all the way around. Let's move around over here. Again, first one's just another small storage compartment. This is your block engine heater. So you can plug it in here. If you're plugged in at an RV park or your home, you're going to have power to it. If your generator's running, you can provide power that way to preheat your engine. This compartment has your 50 amp power cord. One thing that's a little bit different about Newmar's is that is a 50-foot cord. A lot of them are only 35 feet. So you go to a park and you have to have an extension cord to reach the box. With the 50-foot cord, you can get there. We park a lot of our units in out here by the highway, and some of the other manufacturers, where we park them, you can't reach the box, but you can with the Newmars. They also put in your transfer switch, and that has a built-in surge protector with it. A nice feature, so you don't have to go buy a surge protector, you know, in addition to protect your electronics. Here we can see our DEF tank, and it does have a gauge here. You can see it's nearly full. There's a gauge on the dash also. And this little compartment here, I suppose you could use it for your sewer hose or other items. It just is a nice handy place to store things that you might not want to bring inside the coach. While we're going back by the axle, I'll speak a little bit more about Freightliner. First of all, a lot of the 40-foot Newmars do have a tag axle. This is the only model that doesn't. Again, being the lower appointed diesel, an attempt to keep the cost down so, you know, people that are going from a gas to a diesel aren't breaking the bank entirely. But I love the way Freightliner puts in their V-Ride assembly. What this V-Ride does is it ties in your axles, your chassis frame rails, and your trailing arm. They have a U-shaped trailing arm, and it all adds up to better stability. If you're driving behind a motorhome and it's going around a corner, sometimes you see them tip quite a bit, 10 or 15 degrees. With this trailing arm V assembly, the V-Rod assembly they call it, and the tuned sack shocks, the heavy-duty airbags, it makes for, again, a more stable ride. And there is a little adjustment nut you can kind of see down here where your says V-Ride, and right below that, that is to adjust your axles. So a tech can get in there and very easily make any adjustments if it's needed. A lot of other coaches, you have to shim it out or put a big washer in there to do that. Here is our water compartment. You can see we have a whole house filter, sewage rinse, city fill, and all of your valves to power fill your tank. When it comes time for winterizing, it's very quick and easy. You have your tube right here. You can see we still have antifreeze in this one. Low point drains are right here, and a water pump switch. So again, you don't have to run in and out of the coach. They make it very convenient for you to to do it right out here. Back here we see our pass-through compartments again. And just voluminous in there. You can get a lot of cargo in this storage area. And then here's the last compartment that goes all the way through. And then in this next one, oops, there we go. We have our batteries. There's 4 AGM house batteries. You have a large propane tank. This one does have a 10-gallon water heater. It doesn't come equipped with the hydronic heating system. And then up in the final compartment is a lot of your chassis circuits. You also would access the generator from here, pull your release, and it pulls out the front. All these chassis circuits are labeled. There's a little red light if you were to blow a fuse. You have replacement fuses right here. That light comes on and lets you know which one to replace. So just handy when you have to get out there and figure out, you know, why your seat's not working or something like that. Okay, well, let's move around inside and take a look. So we come in, I'm going to shut the door, and this time of the year, one of the first things I like to do is turn my air conditioner on, but we're not plugged in, so I'm going to start the generator. And the generator's right below us. You can probably hear it right now, but it's not all that loud. It takes maybe 30 seconds or so for that transfer switch basically to sense where the power is coming from. When it does kick on, you'll hear your microwave kind of bang and provide power. When it does, I'm going to go right into here and turn my air conditioner on first. I've got it set, but I'm waiting for it to get the power. But this is where you monitor your tanks. See, our tank levels are low. These are our battery levels. You can turn your water pump on right there. You also have, there we go, you can hear it turning on. So I'm going to go back here and get a little air conditioning going. So that'll kick on in just a second. Have your slide out controls. You can turn on your security lights, water heater, your exterior step. You can turn it off so it's not always going in and out. You also have your Xantrex. It's a 2,000 watt pure sine wave inverter. And then your wind guard system. It comes equipped with the Traveler satellite system for DirecTV. One of the things that I like to point out when we have time, the Comfort Drive is, you've heard us talk about it, and I'm going to go ahead and start this up. It's a computer assisted steering setup. And what it's doing is it's constantly sensing torques on the tires, axles, crowns in the road, crosswind, things that might have you, you know, fighting the wheel a little bit to keep it in the middle of the road. With the Comfort Drive, which is actually designed and built by TRW, and then it is available on any Freightliner or Spartan chassis. And again, I don't know why more companies aren't jumping on board with this. Newmar really is ahead of the game. But when you're driving, you can adjust the dial as you scroll through your glass dash. There's an adjustment from 1 to 10. 1 would be one finger driving. 10, you know, would put a little bit more tension on the steering wheel if you feel like, you know, you're a race car driver and need to have a little more firm control. But what I like to point out with the Comfort Drive, with one finger, I can turn these wheels all the way. Now, we're not moving. All of the weight is sitting on the tires. Our jacks aren't down. And when I let go, this comes right back to center every time. So you can imagine how much easier that is as you're rolling. This wheel comes back to the middle position, so if I am fighting a wind, it senses that, it brings me back to the center, and what it does on a long drive, it's less stressful. You don't have that white knuckle trip. You arrive at your destination feeling much better. So again, one of the exclusives on the Newmar products. Every level of diesel has that. So we've talked about the dash before. You know, you've got your backup monitor, and like I say, it is a 3-way monitor. So as I put this blinker on, we're looking down the passenger side of our coach. You do have your navigation, Rand McNally navigation here with your radio, the The SIM card is right in here. You can pull this out from time to time, go to your computer. Well, I'm not going to break a nail, but go to your computer, put it in, and get the Rand McNally upgrade for any new streets and things like that. So very easy to navigate. Most of your dash and controls are very convenient. You do have these visors and shades here. These are the only ones that are electric, and these over here are manual. So you have both the day and the night shades. And again, throughout this coach, those are all manual. I think I can go ahead and shut this down. As we move back, again, these seats pivot, become part of the living room, and this actually has a footrest here. You can turn it around, make yourself comfortable. This floor plan actually sleeps 8 people. It's a bunkhouse model, and it's one of those that's kind of becoming a new wave. We find a lot of the younger families wanting to get into a diesel, and typically they're made to sleep 2 to 4 people. Well, this one, you have a jackknife couch here, comes down flat that 2 adults could sleep on. The table, of course, converts to a sleeper. Very easy to throw this lever, push it down. You gotta, lift your cushions up, and then back in the closet is another cushion that goes in the middle here, makes it very comfortable. You can see the TV over here is on what they call a televator. When you travel, you're probably going to have that in the down position. Yeah, that's the Bose 5 sound bar. They used to have surround sound with a subwoofer that you always had to hide somewhere. Took up room in a compartment. The sound bar is just a much better system, and they have it throughout the coach, here, outside, in the bedroom. Nice little extension here, and there is a button that'll release the unit. But when you get to where you're going and want some extra counter space, it's nice to have. Another thing I like, these drawers used to be very narrow because of the mechanism, so they're almost a full drawer now. And all of the drawers in this are actually soft close drawers, something you won't see in a lot of other coaches in this price range. Let me move this aside. We do have a 3-burner propane stove, and it's what they call the sealed burner stove. What I mean by that, you can see right in here. It's very tight. Food doesn't get down in there like a lot of your camp stoves have a big gap there that you're always having to lift it up and wipe it out when you're done cooking. Easier to keep this clean. You do have a undermount stainless steel double sink here, and that's a nice big sink with some residential features here with your spray faucet. If you're making spaghetti and you have the big pot, you've got room to get it in and get it, cleaned up. And they come with nice covers. It is a Korean style. It's a solid surface countertop and backsplash. Very nice high polished surface. The cabinets, all wood solid cabinetry. Even these styles, they're not a wrapped hardwood. This is the Newport glazed maple hardwood, and Newmar, a couple of things they do better than most is cabinets and paint jobs on the outside. Second to none by far.
Is that a convection?
That is a convection. You won't find a lot of ovens anymore, so most of them go with a convection microwave. You can always tell if it's metal inside that it's a convection, otherwise it would be plastic. Mm-hmm. No dishwasher on this, but it does allow for 3 larger storage drawers, again, all with the soft close feature, and everybody needs a drawer full of remotes. Here's a nice little feature you get. These are all your outside colors, so if you do scratch it up, you can touch it up a little bit yourself. They provide that for you. 19.7 residential style 110 refrigerator, and this has an ice maker with it. And that runs off your batteries and inverter when you're not plugged in or don't have your generator on. Next to the refrigerator, we have a very large pantry.
Gotta feed those 8 people you got sitting
Yeah, well, you know, when you have growing kids, you probably need that. So let's take a look at the bunks back here. You know, I like the way they put a light in each one. Again, I've got the shades down, and at the foot of the bed, they each have their own 19-inch TV. There is a DVD player in there also. Little USB ports, net there for their cell phone or devices. And if you're bringing all those people, you probably need some extra wardrobe. So they provide one right here. Again, a couple large drawers down at the bottom. They do even make solid doors. I like these about Newmar. They're actually real doors that give you some privacy. Right down here you can see this is our vacuum system. You can plug it in there, just open it up, turns it on. Also, if you sweep it up, you can touch that and vacuum up the dirt. Don't need a dustpan. They do a nice decorator ceiling, and these are actually covering the AC vents. Some companies will spread their vent and the return air out wide, so when you're traveling with the slides in, you want to run your AC, you're actually blowing it over the slide. Newmar puts theirs right down the center, and another one of those points when you know the difference, there's actual ductwork in here. They're not cutting out a channel out of a block of styrofoam to provide for your air condition runs. They use actual ductwork. It's more efficient, you know, just a better system. A little bit more expensive, but you know, there's a reason they do things that way. Moving back into the bedroom, again, you have your DVD player here, more satellite hookups. I believe this is a 30-inch TV. There is a full wardrobe in here. That pad in there is the one you would use when you're converting the dinette into a sleeper. And also, you have the stackable Splendide washer and dryer. You know, if you've got a couple of kids and going to be gone a few weeks, they might want to bring friends. You have 6 or 8 people, it's nice to be able to clean your clothes. There's a little bit of storage under here. Now, normally you'd see a couple of folding chairs, but this has the dinette booth rather than the table and chairs, so you don't get them. That's all storage. King bed. So I look at everything here, you know, the extra sleeping, the large kitchen, full wardrobe here, a second wardrobe by the bunks. It's only a 40-foot coach. Something's got to give somewhere. And where that is in the bathroom. Now, normally a full wall slide has a bath and a half. This is just a single bathroom. But it doesn't cut short the size and convenience you get of the shower, of the sink. And you can see, you know, plenty of cabinet space. You have good medicine chest. The high polish, solid surface counter and backsplash. And an ample shower for even the big guys to be able to get in and get cleaned up. There's your emergency exit behind the toilet also. Just a great feature to have. Let me see, moving back into the kitchen, you have 2 of these. These are your fantastic fans. And if I want to turn it on, you can see right here, if you're cooking and you want to pull that air out. Maybe it's just, nighttime, you can open a couple of windows a little bit and draw the air through. You don't need your air conditioner. But these are the very nice, fantastic fan. Go ahead and shut that off. Once again, this is the 4045 Newmar Kountry Star. If you want to get a hold of me, here's my contact information. Once again, I'd like to thank you all for watching today. If you have questions on this coach or any of our coaches, please reach out to us. We can do video walkarounds for you. There are a lot of out-of-state buyers that can't come and walk around and touch and feel it, so we'll do everything we can to help. And once again, in the immortal words of Roy Rogers, happy trails, my friends.
You can just hang out here. I'm going to do a walk around.
All right.